Yeah, welcome back to DXB today, where we are delving into the world of detox today. It comes in a number of different forms. Might be internal, might be external, might be physical, might be mental. We'll try and give you as many takes as we can. In fact, our next guest specialises in child and adolescent mental health, no less. Creative therapies and also neurodiversity. So please welcome psychotherapist Olivia Izzo, who joins us live here on the sofa. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
This is a touchy subject at the moment. Screen times. I mean, can we cut to the quick and say that we got a problem with screen time at the moment? Not just for adolescents, moving through to larger childs like ourselves as well.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think we can say that. I think it is now a form of overconsumption, and it's really hard because obviously, you know, we all of our devices are really important to us. We use them for work, we might use them for school, but it's about finding that balance and making sure that we're not over-consuming, you know, that kind of saying of everything in moderation. So making sure that we're engaging with things that we want to engage in.
It's really interesting you use that phrase, overconsumption, because a lot of people say, oh, I'm addicted to my screen, and so it is an addiction. But is it an addiction, or again, is there a difference between overconsumption and addiction?
Yeah, of course. I think I think it is overconsumption, and I think there's kind of this thing at the moment where a lot of parents are coming to me and saying my child's addicted to their screen. And it's really interesting because when you have a child and they're on their device, we have to remember that this is really stimulating for them. This is really exciting. So if you want your child to be off your screen, you need to try replica something that's just as engaging for them. So making sure that you're talking about things that they're interested in. You know, have you got a child that loves talking about animals or, you know, anything like that? So we're not just leaving them to, okay, go on your screen and kind of get all your excitement from that. Actually, can you come to mum, dad, your siblings, and we can give you something just as exciting, you know, human to human connection.
You know, something really funny happened with my daughter. She's 7 and her iPad screen is broken and her dad promised that he's going to replace it. So I asked her, what are you going to do with your old iPad? She said, I will give it to this boy in my class. And I asked, why? Why do you want to give it to him? She said, because he doesn't have an iPad. So in her head, it's some sort of deprivation. When I asked her, baby, did it occur to you that maybe his parents made a conscious decision to not give him an iPad? For her, it's like, oh my gosh, like child abuse. Like what child doesn't get an iPad because it's such a luxury to them, isn't it?
Definitely. Well, it's so embedded in their life. It's so a part of their life. And I think just what you mentioned about maybe the parent wasn't allowing the child to have an iPad. I think it's really important that parents feel empowered to make decisions around what kind of device usage their child can have. You know, making sure that there's age restrictions on the devices, making sure that you know what your child is consuming as well, and also having screen time free zones. You know, if we want to be at dinner together as a family, we have to model as adults that, okay, I'm not going to pick up my phone at dinner as well. You know, I'm going to show the child that I don't need it, you know, so you don't need it as well.
I have a question. So as a mother of 2 siblings, I also have a 7-year-old and I have a 10-and-a-half-year-old. And what I do is that I deprive them from the iPad all week, but on weekends, I give it to them. And I say, it's weekends, you don't have any chores, you don't have any homeworks, you know, it's, you know, watch whatever games, play whatever videos you want. And what I realized is that that's where I see the addiction, not just overconsumption, because that's all they want to do all weekend. I disrupt the sort of the streamline by sending them off to sports and they have other things happening. But I noticed that it's not really helping. All the hours they're not consuming during the weekday, they're sort of congesting it over the weekend. What do you think of this approach?
Yeah, so I think sometimes we can think it's, you know, it's an all or nothing. So we can be like, no devices, none of that, and it will make you much happier. But in reality, that's just going to reinforce the need for the child to say, well, okay, I'm going to wait all weekend and then I'm going to go crazy on my devices, be up all night. So I think it's really important in, you know, modeling to them that, yeah, we can have some times in the evening, but it's for the right kind of things. You know, we're not staying up all night. We can use it because we have to remember that there's a wonderful side of using, you know, iPads or devices. It can be really educational. It can be really relaxing for some children. So I think it's about making sure that we're setting clear boundaries, but also being flexible as well. Sometimes when we're a bit too strict, that's when children can go the other way. So yeah.
I've seen that a lot with my nephew. He's a 1.5 years and he loves Cocomelon and Miss Rachel and all that. It's very educational. He sings along, he makes us sing along, but there is a way, like screen addiction isn't only for programs, it's also to meet and see your, your family members. My sister lives in Saudi, my nephew's there. Since he was born, the only way we could talk to him every day is through screen time. And so anytime he needs us, he's just like, call her on Zoom, call her on Botum, and let it be, like I'm there for an hour talking to him. So he's always confronted with the screen time. So it's not just the young children that are addicted in that way for a program, but adults as well to meet and communicate.
Yeah.
So where is a healthy balance in that if you need that communication tool to talk to your families overseas?
Yeah, I think that, it's really difficult. And I think as well, as adults or parents, we can be on the phone for hours talking to family members, and children are going to look at that, and it's way more accessible for them to do it on Zoom or do it on, whatever, so they can see face to face, because that's really how children connect. So that's really important. I think not taking away the connection to family members, and that's a good compromise actually. So if you want to be on your device, if you want to be on your screen, maybe we can have a call today. Maybe it doesn't have to be you gaming or accessing social media. Maybe it can be a call to someone, and see how your child kind of responds to that.
Let's get some practical advice if we can. As I said, start of a new year. I think everyone has heard the phrase digital detox. You're so right, okay, obviously we're focusing a lot on kids and adolescents at the moment, but we're all guilty of this. Give us some practical pointers. If people want to make a bit of difference in their home for 2025, how do we digitally detox?
I think what's really important is to really consider what you're consuming. So really have a look at what accounts you're following, what kind of information you're taking in. When you wake up in the morning, what are you looking at straight away, and how do you feel for the rest of the day? So really being mindful on, okay, I'm going to filter what I receive. If that account doesn't make me feel great about myself, then maybe I'll mute it, because we all really perfectly curate what we're going to post online. It's not actually real life. Real life is real life, so it's being present and being around people. So I think just bearing in mind that the online world is the online world. And let's try take a step into, let's try be present as much as possible and see if that has a better effect on your mental health. Yeah.
What about parents with neurodiverse kids? I mean, can balancing neurodiverse needs with digital detox approach help?
Yeah. So I think this is tricky, because we know that those who are on the spectrum, autism, ADHD, neurodiverse, we know that for them, life can be overwhelming. They can struggle with kind of social cues, or they can struggle with sensory needs. So actually going on a device, they can just be themselves. They don't have to mask, they can just connect to that device and, relax. Or, if they have ADHD, it could be that they're just not getting enough dopamine in real life. So actually when they're on the device, it's like a great hit of dopamine for them. So again, it's really kind of stressing that. And I know it's hard because most parents work, but if we're going to invite them to come off the device, it's not just please come off your device, it's please come off your device, let's focus on something that we know makes you happy. So, typically with autism, you have like a special interest. So let's really focus on what that child loves. Is it trains? Is it animals? How can I replicate that feeling for them so that it's not just the device that their needs are getting met? Because I think that is the case for a lot of children. Their needs are getting met online. How can we show them as adults that it can be met in real life as well?
I think every family, particularly mine, can greatly benefit from a little bit of collective digital detox. That is indeed some great advice, Olivia. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Moving on, now shopping these days has become so convenient as we can do it without ever leaving the house. But with so many choices, we need to get rid of the old to make room for the new. We'll be finding out how to detox our space after this.